Welcome to the Get Fit Guys, quick and dirty tips to get moving and shape up. My name is Brock Armstrong, and I'm the Get Fit Guy. Traveling rings offer not only great physical benefits, but also some of the happiest looking workouts around. And in this episode, we're going to talk about what exactly they are and how you can add them to your fitness regimen. Now, to start off, traveling rings are a fitness apparatus that usually have 5 to 10 aluminum or wooden rings that are suspended from chains or rope. Then the ropes are then spaced a few feet apart and attached to a strong steel support beam that kind of looks like a large children's swing set. Now, all of this is set up in a way that allows users to travel from one ring to the next using a combination of arm pulls, leg swings, twirls, swoops, and any number of other Spider-Man-like or dance-like movements. And when I say dance-like, I really mean it. If you haven't seen these in action, well, go and check out some videos, and I'll embed one over in the show notes at quickanddirtytips.com/getfitguy. And you'll see that people, both young and old alike, can be seen gracefully soaring through the air on these rings. Some look like trapeze artists, while others look like Olympic athletes, but all of them look like they are having the time of their life. And as I'll get into later, traveling rings have been around since approximately 1860. But Muscle Beach in Santa Monica, California, is kind of credited with making them popular in the 1970s. And since then, this sport has grown and blossomed in cities all around the world. And in my opinion, due to the lack of rules in this sport, or maybe more accurately, this art, the styles that are used on the rings are as individual and creative as the person performing them, which makes it as fun to do as it is to watch. Now, speaking of fitness and fun and how they fit together, one of the first things I noticed when I started researching traveling rings was how much fun everyone was having. In the videos I watched of people swinging and twirling and dangling, the default setting for this activity seems to involve a lot of laughing and grinning. Even the name this community has given itself, Ringers, is fun and playful. And to me, that is one of the most important and all too often overlooked aspects of fitness. It should be fun. Sure, there are times when you might struggle to find the fun in your fitness routine, especially if you're training hard, but overall, your regimen should be fun instead of feeling like some gross medicine that you only take in the hopes of getting healthier. To be truly healthful, not to mention sustainable, your fitness program should bring you joy. If yours feels like something you have to force yourself to endure, well, look for a different program. If you don't enjoy going for a run, then go for a walk. If you don't like lifting weights, then try resistance bands. If you don't like going to the gym, join a hockey beer league instead. My point is that there are so many ways to move your body more often in more varied ways that you don't need to do something that you don't enjoy. Look for a plan or a program that suits you. And you know what? That program may include traveling rings. Now, as I mentioned earlier, traveling rings have been around for a really long time, but have seen a resurgence in the recent past. The rings date back to as early as the 1860s and were also popular in the early 1900s as a form of exercise and physical therapy. According to the Traveling Rings Organization website, Scotland has one of the longest histories involving the traveling rings, and many of the original locations are still in existence. The Arlington Baths Club, for example, opened its doors in August of 1871, and it still features a series of 7 rings hung from ceiling beams over the swimming pool so club members can travel from one end of the pool to the other. Now, a little later, across the pond in America, a catalog of gymnastic equipment that was published in 1905 from a machine company in Rhode Island featured traveling rings, and they sold these rings for $6 each. Now, when adjusted for inflation, that would equate to about $175 in 2020. Luckily, that is a lot more than they're sold currently on Amazon today. Now, I don't feel like we can talk about traveling rings without also talking about gymnastic rings, which are the root and the basis of the traveling version. The thing that's so cool and challenging about gymnastic rings is that they are inherently unstable. That means they provide benefits beyond what any exercise machines can offer. And let me explain. Because rings hang independently and swing from a long rope, they can and will move in any direction at the slightest touch. This instability encourages our neuromuscular system to develop new pathways that create joint stability, overall balance, and body coordination like gangbusters. When you think about it, it's tricky enough for most of us to simply pull our body weight up on a fixed and a stable bar. But when we are attempting to do the same thing using two rings that constantly move, after some amount of practice, you end up creating benefits that go beyond just having stronger muscles. Swinging your body from ring to ring in as many different positions and patterns as you can imagine, well, it requires a significant amount of upper body strength and control. And although you can build strength with body weight exercises or by lifting weights, it is the instability of the traveling or gymnastic rings that makes this an entirely different challenge. Using rings this way requires an integration of coordination, balance, and strength that is almost impossible to achieve on any other workout equipment. I've seen the strongest gym goer completely humbled by the gymnastic rings purely due to the lack of coordination and lack of neuromuscular understanding. Now, for this reason, if you decide to try traveling rings for the first time, take it easy and go slow. Even if you're an avid exerciser and consider yourself fit and strong, well, you may be put to shame by some small child who's been using the rings for a while. Remember, it's not all about strength. So, how could you get started using traveling rings? Well, if you have access to traveling rings or gymnastic rings, you can use these exercises that I'm going to list in a minute to build the strength and the skills necessary to really enjoy yourself. If you aren't ready to purchase your own gymnastic rings, well, you can simply look for a gym in your area that offers a system called TRX. TRX is another type of suspension training that was very popular a few years ago, and similar to the rings, it uses handles on the end of long straps and helps you develop strength, balance, flexibility, and core stability. So, alright, here we go. Here are some basic exercises that will help you get ready to enjoy the traveling rings the next time you find yourself at, Muscle Beach. Now, the first exercise is the ring push-up. This is one of the most basic exercises that will help you develop some powerful pushing strength and stability. Now, to do this exercise, you get yourself into a push-up position, but with your hands in the rings instead of on the floor. Then you place your feet at the bottom of a wall or just place your toes on the floor. To perform this exercise, simply do a push-up by bending your arms and pivoting your shoulders until your hands are lined up with your chest. Then extend your arms again by pushing into the rings until your arms are straight out in front of you and in front of your shoulders. And the next exercise is the ring pull-up. At its core, this is a basic pull-up. But when you use rings instead of a bar, you can change the movement by adjusting your hand position. For example, if you start the pull-up with your palms facing outward and then rotate them in as you pull your body up, well, you can increase and change the muscle activations in ways that are impossible using a standard pull-up bar. Now, if you find this movement so challenging that you can only do one or two or none, feel free to put your feet on the floor or on a chair to assist lifting your body weight. I described how to do this in an article and podcast called Do You Have a Pull-Up Bar at Home? And I'll link to that in the show notes for this episode at quickanddirtytips.com/getfitguy. And the next exercise is ring rows. Similar to ring push-ups, ring rows are a great exercise to develop upper body power and strength. Now, to begin, get into the same position in which you started the ring push-up, but this time you're actually hanging below the rings instead of hovering above them. Then, pull on the rings to raise your chest up to your hands, using the strength of your back and arms. Then, lower yourself back down, slowly and with control, to the original hanging position. And the next exercise is the ring dip. Now, to start a ring dip, your torso should be above the rings with your arms straight, supporting your body weight with your hands in the rings near each of your hips. Then, lower your body down by bending at the elbows and keeping the rings close into your body. Keep going down until your armpits almost touch your hands. Then, press your body back to that starting position. Just like the pull-up, if you can't do a dip, place your feet on a bench or a platform to support a portion of your body weight, but not too much though, just enough to allow you to complete a few reps successfully before you move on. And the next exercise is the ring hanging knee or leg raise. Now, so far we've looked at movements that focus mostly on the upper body, but this one works your core. Now, I created a video, and I'll put it in the show notes at quickanddirtytips.com/getfitguy, showing how to do a basic hanging knee raise. Now, this exercise is similar, except that you hang from rings rather than a bar. Now, start in a hanging position with your hands facing forward. Then, raise your knees to your chest and slightly rotate your pelvis forward to engage the deep core muscles. Then, hold for a second and lower back down, nice and slow. Now, try to keep your body from swinging too much while you do this too. And the next exercise is ring muscle ups. Because the rings allow for greater mobility, this exercise is one of the most popular movements used for the gymnastic rings. You will see this one in CrossFit boxes and competitions regularly. Now, start in a hanging position using an overhand grip. Then, do what I would describe as an explosive pull-up that immediately transitions into a dip. Then, make sure you lower yourself back down nice and slowly. And don't be afraid to practice this one with your feet on a chair or a bench again to make sure you're doing it correctly and safely. And the final exercise is called the Iron Cross. Now, you won't see this one very often outside of the gymnastic world, partially because it is a challenging movement to do. To do this one, you start in a hanging position with your hands facing away from your body. Then, using only your arms, raise your body until your arms are straight out to the side, and your body is basically in the shape of a cross. Then hold this position for as long as possible and then slowly return to the original hanging position. Good luck. Now, to wrap things up, let's take a quick look at motor skills. A motor skill is a function that involves the precise movement of muscles with the intent to perform a specific act. Now, motor skills are usually acquired in childhood, but we do continue to build them as we age. Then, if we don't use them and work hard to maintain them, well, we lose them later in life. Now, there are two types of motor skills. The gross motor skills, which are movements related to large muscles, such as your legs and arms, and fine motor skills, which are movements involving smaller muscle groups, such as those in your hands and your wrists. Now, back in 2016, a study that was published in PLOS One revealed that a group of child participants who practiced gross motor activities in a specific playground in Italy, which included a climbing rope, a hanging bar, gymnastic rings, a climbing net, and monkey bars, improved significantly in 4 out of 6 gross motor tasks compared to the control group. So, in a nutshell, while their bambino brethren were developing other aspects of fitness, these kids who played on the unstable ropes, bars, and rings got the added benefit of building precise coordination of muscles that led to better performance in specific tasks. And I don't know about you, but I could use some of that. And I became especially aware of how much I need that after I read a paper called The Aging Neuromuscular System and Motor Performance. Now, the authors of that study found that age-related changes in the motor unit led to reduced maximal strength, the slower velocity of contraction of movement, marked reductions in muscle power, and increased fatigability when the muscles are required to contract rapidly. The decline in motor function started to appear around age 60 and seemed to accelerate markedly between 75 to 80 years old. So, if you put these two papers together, I think we have at least part of the answer. Regardless of age, traveling rings are a fun way to keep fit. Okay, before we wrap up, I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Over the past 3 years, Monica Reinagel, the nutrition diva, and I have coached hundreds of people in what we call our Way Less method, and we've witnessed some amazing transformations. We've seen people break the lifelong cycle of chronic yo-yo dieting and finally step into a new life in which they weigh less without dieting. People who never believed that they'd be able to maintain a healthy weight without constant dieting and restriction are now having a comfortable relationship with food. And that is quite simply the most satisfying work that either of us have ever done. And in the course of this work, we've identified some key places where people tend to get stuck, and the simple shifts that will help you get unstuck. So on Saturday, February 22nd, we are going to offer a free online workshop all about those 5 key shifts that have helped our members stop dieting and start weighing less. And you can do the same. So join us on Saturday, February 22nd by going to wayless.life/no-yo-yo. Like no yo-yo dieting. That's no yo-yo. wayless.life/no-yo-yo. And you too can learn about the 5 key shifts that have helped our members stop dieting and start weighing less. That's wayless.life/no-yo-yo. Now, my name is Brock Armstrong, and I'm the Get Fit Guy, asking you, what are you waiting for? Get out there and swing from some rings.